See, it goes green, and we're good. So, hey, we're back. Sorry about that. There's a weird glitch with the internet there. But you were saying, because, yeah, I understand. I mean, anything can be taught in a shorter period of time. And honestly, you might be a better EMT for it. Because all you do for 5 days a week is learn this stuff. That's your world.
And you're going to have constant access to instructors. Right there at your side.
Right.
Because we're not going to do none of this program is going to be the hybrid.
All of it's standard in class.
The exams will be online because they're going to be taking their national registry on a computer. So we want them to take exams on a computer.
That makes sense.
So that their first I don't want their first exam on a computer to be the national registry exam.
Understood.
So that exam will be on the computer. We will work with them every day. They'll come in here. If they have questions, all they got to do is raise their hand. There's an instructor right there to help them. We're going to be quizzing them, making sure they know the content. We're going to have hands-on lab simulations, lab activities right there available for them during the course.
Now, I've seen your IV lab. We dealt with that when I was doing the PALS class.
Right.
And, of course, the paramedic refresher class. I've seen the airway lab. You're in the process of building an ambulance simulator.
Yes.
Actually.
And it will hopefully be finished on Monday. And I'm hoping that next week, because I think with the technology, can't we stream video from a phone?
Yeah. Yes, we can.
So maybe we can, take a segment and go back there and show it off, hopefully.
That'd be really, really cool. That'd be really awesome. Now, I don't know what's up with the internet. It keeps going red on the Facebook broadcast, but we are recording to the disk here, to the hard drive. So it might be a little glitchy on Facebook, but we'll upload it afterwards in case something goes wrong. So my first thought, too, now I never did basic. When I came through EMT school, it was 1996 to 97. You're talking about EMTI. And that was one of the first classes to do National Registry, I believe.
Right.
And my numbers were 30,000 and something. 30,186 or something like that. I don't remember. So I remember we were doing everything up to cardiac tech. Cardiac tech was not being taught in Georgia anymore at that point, but it was still recognized. If you already had it, you were grandfathered in and you could be part of whatever with cardiac tech. So, we had to do, 40 or 60 hours of clinical time. What's the requirement for EMT Basic for clinicals? Because that's my first thought. I was like, man, 5 weeks, how are you going to get clinicals done?
Well, EMT Basic only has to do 24 hours of clinical.
And what are they?
10 patient contacts.
Okay.
That's it.
Now, what's the clinicals? ER and riding the truck, or just ambulance?
Mm-hmm.
So 24 hours of just ambulance at 8 hours a shift. That's four
we do
rides.
12 hours.
Do 12? Oh, okay. So that's 2 rides.
2 rides.
Unless you don't get 10 patient contacts.
Right, but most of the time they do.
Okay. Where do you? I don't know if you want to say. This is the part of the business I don't know. Where do you do clinicals?
Well, we have American Medical Response in DeKalb. So
Okay.
That's how
That's definitely.
We also have Central EMS. We have ProCare EMS. We have Care Tech. We have Phoenix as well, and we're working on about 2 or 3 others. We have a place called Fast Track Urgent Care Centers, where a lot of our
it's kind of like the ER stuff.
Yeah, where advanced EMTs go there.
Yeah.
And stuff. So we have plenty of clinical sites to get everybody through.
Is your goal, because this is a hybrid school, is your goal to have access to where people are in the state with all these different EMS services? Because typically it's one EMS service and one ER, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, we've had them spread out, but sometimes contracts expire. Like Lincolnton County has always said, hey, you're welcome anytime. We just usually do a quick contract and get them back up.
If somebody's in that area or whatever. I got you. Okay. How are you going to staff it? Do you have, it's how many instructors are going to use for this thing?
Well, we have 20, I have like 27 instructors, Charles. And
I'm not one yet. That's still not getting me.
Yeah.
But aren't most of those instructors on shift work?
But they're all on different shifts, and they all want to be in here during the day.
Okay.
We've started doing day classes. Small day classes of like 6 people. Like I'll have a shift from a class from 9 to 1 and another one from 1 to 5. And those fill up immediately. Because people like here at Covington Fire or Newton County or Henry or wherever like to get off. They get off at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
And then they come on in and work during the day and then they go home at night.
Most EMS people tend, and fire, let me say this, most public safety people tend to have a second or even third job.
Right.
Although,
And
in my
this is
experience,
a
has
lot
been
easier
contracting.
for
So.
them. And this is a lot easier environment for them. It's not as stressful. It's controlled environment, but they're still giving to the community. They're still enjoying what they do. It's still EMS related. They're, helping, but in a different way.
Yeah, I got
so
you.
it kind of alleviates some burnout.
Okay. Because, the student, see, I loved being a student when I was in full-time college. Because I had jobs on campus, but you don't have to worry about where's your food going to come from. I had the food program on campus. And, what do I have to do today? I have to get up. I have to go to this class. If there's no classes, I just basically stay in this bubble of a university and do what I do. When I was in paramedic school, it was similar. I was living with my parents, so I paid minimal rent. I made really minimal rent, and I paid my truck insurance, and that was it. And I did have a job to cover those things, but it was easy enough to go to class at night. And so I was spending my time. And for me, when you have that person teaching you, I get to sit back. And I loved PALS for that reason, was for a refresher course, you're supposed to know this stuff. You work all the time. And doing the paramedic refresher reminded me of what I did know, reminded me of what I didn't know, what I need to really, really bone up on before I take the test again. And that was like the hybrid class for me. It's really on you. You have to get in there and figure out what you know, and do this and that, and do the work. And I'm still working on that. Then the other thing is, when I did PALS, it was, no, here's the class. And I got to sit back and just process the little bits at a time and go, oh, this is this and this is that, and shock. And really, instead of having to remember it, relearning it was a lot easier. Mm-hmm. So for me personally, I love both styles. But being able to come into this 5-week class, all you're going to do all day long is sit there and figure out what you need to learn.
Right. Well, the way the structure will be, we'll come in and we'll do lecture for a little while, and then we're going to get up and we're going to put hands on. Put the students in situations. Here's the equipment. Let's learn it, okay? We got it. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Repetition. Let's learn the skills of being an EMT. Some of the things I've heard out there about, and I think there's some people out there who feel like that an EMT should come out of school and be like a 5-year seasoned medic. I realize this is the EMT level, and whenever they come out of the EMT level, it doesn't matter what school they come from, an 8-month school, a 5-week school, a 10-week school, a 12-week school, or 6-month school, doesn't matter. You're still a rookie.
Yeah.
You don't really start learning.
This is the starting level.
The real learning starts when you hit the street.
Yeah.
You got to get the baseline so that you can hit the street, because you just can't go out there. You got to have something that qualifies you to be able to be out there, and that's what we provide. That's what we get you ready for. But we're not going to be able to get you, and there's no school going to be able to get you ready for every single thing, like a seasoned 5-year person is.
Right. Well, yeah, paramedic school.
We were all there, Charles. Every one of us graduated school and got out there and was scared.
Yeah.
And every one of us graduated school, got out there, and made mistakes.
Do you remember?
Hopefully not life-threatening mistakes, because that happens, that's different. But we didn't get it perfect. Maybe, we put them on a nasal cannula when it should have been a non-air breather. We had them on a non-air breather when we should have had a nasal cannula. Maybe we should have started a different sized IV, or stuff like that.
Well, you forget basics sometimes. Yeah, you get caught up in the rush, and
Yeah, and that comes with experience,
And man, you as a rookie too, you need to be put with the right partner to really who can understand people right out of school and understand and experience and be good with it. And the right partner is not just somebody with patience, but somebody who has that overall awareness of everything that's going on and can let little mistakes happen to teach. Again, non-life threatening, non-injurious to the patient, just.
Right.
The wrong size. I picked a 22 because that's what I was good at in school. It's like, well, that's nice, but this is a trauma patient, so I'm going to go and put a 16 on this side, and we'll talk about that later. Little things, because you get with the wrong, and out of school, I got with all kind of wrong partners before I found the right one.
Early on in your career, you come into the ER, and the nurses and them are upset at you.
Yeah, not just
look back, and you kind of know that, hey, I should have did something else, or I could have did that. But that's just the way it is. And I don't think a 5-week class or a 10-week class or anything's going to alleviate that. But I can say that in my experience, whenever I was going through my EMT portion, that's what I did every day, and I felt just as prepared for it.
Okay, so we've had some good questions here about different types of learners, pros and cons of a 5-week class. And then there's another one that actually separate we might get to in a second. But those kind of go together because going through, as you may or may not know, if you follow EMS Underground, I'm going back through paramedic refresher. I'm going to challenge the test so that I can become a full-time instructor here. And well, I mean, it might not be the right word, full time, but whatever. Tom's like, what? But be available to teach is what I'm saying. And I got an app. The first thing I did, because I love practice tests, I love going through things to see what it's like, and I got the app. And when I got the app, I was bombing the tests because they're asking things on this practice National Registry app test thing that are beyond the scope of practice for paramedic, but I could see where it's things you might need to understand as part of the system, and some of it's new, some of it is stuff I haven't learned. So different types in school like this, you're doing 8 hours of just processing, and you go home at night and you take a break, and on the weekends you study and you get ready for your exam or whatever, just like any class. Then you're ready for that test. You are so much more prepared for that test than anything else. Now, as far as going into the real world, I'm not sure how that's going to play out. Right, Tom? But and I know, Tom, when we look down at stuff, we're checking the Facebook feed and the questions and those kind of things. So, it's just, this is an interaction, and the only way to interact is to look down and look at the phone where people are typing.
Exactly.
And that's how that works. So, let's compare the two. The hybrid class to the 5-week class. I know you haven't done the 5-week class, but you have taught in other classes before you start your own school. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah? So you've taught in a traditional class type.
And accelerated, and we've done that on a regular basis, and in the past. Since I've been here, I haven't done one quite this accelerated, but last summer we did do 2 10-week sessions, which were highly successful. And one thing that I would like to point out was that the National Registry just released pass rates for the state of Georgia. And the pass rates in Georgia are for EMT, AMT, or paramedic are horrible across the board. So, however, our program, we are in the high 70s, low 80s.
Of pass rate.
Pass rate. Whereas
what's the Georgia standard?
The Georgia, like for advanced EMTs, in the 50s.
Okay.
And
that's still better when I went through paramedic.
EMT is in the 60s.
Okay. So, man, when I went to National Registry, there's a 25% nationwide pass rate. I was like, that's ridiculous. Yeah. Well, there's something wrong with this.
It's a lot better now.
Yeah, it is obviously a lot better now. But that is good to know. And that's this with the hybrid. Now, do you find... It's obvious in class. Whenever you get somebody who doesn't have the same learning style as everybody else, who's maybe having difficulty picking up a subject, you can easily kind of pull them to the side, or they can come to you and say, hey, I'm still not...
Well, that's why we have instructors that follow them online. They follow the progress. They follow the test scores. And we also, that's why you have to come in for labs. You know, you have to come in on a monthly basis for labs. So you're just not out there by yourself, on your own, you know, trying to muddle your way through this. You have access to an instructor that you can email at any given time. Now, they have 24 hours during the week to respond back, and on weekends, come on, use common sense. They may not respond back. You know, everybody gets a weekend off here and there, but so we stay on top of, you know, the students' progress.
That's cool. Because I was thinking if I was going to take a hybrid classes, because I don't have the time to invest in going 3 times a week even to a class. I need to be able to do it at 2 a.m. when I'm up and, you know, do something, or noon from noon to 1. A question here, and this thing, I don't know if they're going to notice on the Facebook broadcast, but the connection keeps resetting, but I don't know why. But hopefully everything's running smooth.
It seems like it's...
Yeah, on the phone it doesn't hiccup, so it's just... What Teresa Mobley says, is there a course that keeps your license updated? I'm not currently working, but would like to keep my license current. Yeah, that's the refreshers.
That's the refresher course.
Yeah.
Yeah. As an EMT, you got to have 24 hours. As an advanced or intermediate, you got to have 36 hours, and then paramedics got to have the 48 hour,
I think it was.
Refresher course.
Yeah.
But I think for the state of Georgia, I think you got to have 40 hours across the board. I'm good with the paramedic. I always just go with 40 hours. So
yeah.
But the refresher course.
I was always under the impression, and I don't know where I got this from, because maybe it was a thing, maybe it never was a thing. But I always thought you had to work a certain
state license.
Maybe that's where I picked it up from. Was that so? Some of the other questions. Let's see here. Oh yeah, this is a good one. Has information technology have a greater influence on educating EMS students? And from my point of view, as a student, I'm going to absolutely say yes. The ability, the first thing I did was go online when I was trying to get back my numbers. It was to find some practice exams, right? And they're out there. Those sites are out there where you have access for 3 months, or however it works. My second step, because I'm a little old school that way. I was there at the birth of the internet, and you know, cut my teeth on Juno and bulletin boards and those kind of things. And so that's my kind of go-to, is everything can be found on the net now. Now, the next generation, and it may not even be a full age generation. I mean, but the students now, if you're under 20, your go-to, or I mean, you're under 30, your go-to might be what's on my phone. And that was my second step, was what kind of apps are out there.
Yeah.
And I have found some great apps, stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it gives people the ability to always be connected and always, you know, be able. So, like, if you're sitting at the DMV with nothing to do but wait,
right,
you can pick up your phone and you can get 15 minutes of study time in. And statistics and studies have shown that the smaller study times like that actually benefit. So even if you're only able to do like 15 minutes here for 2 hours, sometimes sitting down longer periods of time, you start losing information. Yeah,
absolutely. When I was in school, and again, it was a hands-on class. It was 3 nights a week. It was, you know, very little time to lose information. I could do the dopamine clock in my head just on the fly within 30 seconds. Now, I don't even remember what the dopamine clock is. I mean, I know it's a thing. That's the extent of my knowledge on it right now. I need to look it up and refresh myself with it. Now, this is an interesting question that we can speak in generalities to, enough to prevent sleep deprivation and its consequences in EMS. And that's from Chelsea. That is a really good question, and I don't know. You know, I know with Newton, right, back when I was at Newton, we had 2 trucks at the hospital, and you'd rotate calls. But across the county, everybody hears the radio go off.
Yeah, even when they were rotating calls, you were waking up.
Right. You're hearing the radio chatter. Now, you can develop skills as a personal thing. You can develop skills. I got to where I could turn down the radio enough to where the chatter wouldn't bother me, although I think it still probably subconsciously bothers you. And if paramedics are known for having box fans and stuff to kind of drown out some noise. Because you still have to hear the radio, though, for if they call for backup, the tones especially. That's really hard. I know places I've heard, I've been on the field for a while, Grady only does like 10 or 12-hour shifts. Is that's the case, roughly?
8-hour shifts.
8 hours. But they're not a full 24. It's a shortened. Well, it's like I think when I heard about it, it was like a 10-hour shift. But for the first hour, you're checking off your truck, getting ready, hit the road for 8 hours, and then that last hour is decommissioning your truck. So, yeah.
Somebody from Grady has to fill us in.
Yeah, but that's the important step.
Scott Queen just joined.
Okay.
Doing this, he works at AMR, and if I'm not mistaken, Scott could maybe comment in, but I think AMR does 12-hour shifts in DeKalb.
So in those, that's what we're saying. In those busier places, you have to have that breakup. But man, I mean, that's the hard balance. As a company, you want to take care of your employees. You know there's safety involved with sleep deprivation. But as EMS, you can't control when the calls come in.
Right.
And Jasper County, for one, that I worked at, there's days and nights when you don't do anything at all. There's nights when the one truck at the lake won't turn a wheel, as we say, but the city truck will run 3 calls overnight. And they're quicker calls, but even at 30 minutes, you're still getting up, getting dressed, doing them, and you can't predict the.
Unlike places like Jasper, though, you've got 3 shifts, right? So that's 6 people covering 24/7, right? But if you go to 12-hour shifts, you got to have 8 people, covering it.
So you'd have 2, 4, 6. So you'd work every other day-ish? You wouldn't have to have 12?
No, if you work 12-hour shifts, you'd have to have 8 people to cover.
Because you're covering 2 people for 12 hours and another 2 people, and that's 4. Then the next day you have a whole separate crew. So you'd work every other day, is what you're saying.
You work that 2 days on, 2 days off.
2 days on, I gotcha. Okay. So I've never dealt with that kind of schedule.
Yeah, if you do that 2 day on, 2 day off, then 2 day on, 3 day off, and then 2 day on, 2 day off, then 3 days on.
Right.
Every other weekend's a 3-day weekend, but it goes like that. But it takes about, I think, instead of having the 6 people, you gotta have 8. You gotta have one more. You gotta have one more crew.
One more crew.
And
paid at the same rate. And now, how's that? What would that affect the hours?
Even if you were to look at it where you were, worked a day, off a day, worked a day, you got to have 2 crews per day now. So AM crew, PM crew, AM crew, PM crew,
right?
AM crew, PM crew, AM.
And then you'd have to swap up at some point because you get tired of the same shifts or whatever.
And that's hard too. I worked one of those shifts, and we'd work for like 3 months during days and 3 months at night, and that swapping from day to night was tough. Because I'd get used to working nights, and then I'd swap to days, and I get used to working days and swap to night. When
I was in the ER, I worked overnight 12 hours, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Yeah.
It's always been weird to me to see the sun come up. I don't know why I don't like that. It throws off my internal clock. Like, I can be up super late, and as long as it's dark, it's fine. I can get up early and have slept, and it's fine. But staying up and watching the sun comes up throws off my clock. But what would happen was, and I didn't have kids at the time, it was just myself and my wife, and I'd come home at 7 a.m., wind down a little bit. I tried to get right in the bed at first, thinking, and then I realized that's not how I'd live my life normally. And if I worked 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., I'd stay up till 8 or 9 o'clock and then go to bed. So I'd do that in the mornings. I'd stay up 8 or 9 a.m., go to bed, and get up around 5 p.m. in the afternoon. So my wife doesn't really get any time with me during the day. And that was 6 days straight. And then I'd have 6 days off. And that swap day, I'd come home and I would sleep. I'd either try to stay up or I'd sleep just so that I could then spend 5 days with my wife. And then now you're on a day cycle. And then you get ready to go back to work. And that is just the worst way to do things. I know factories do swing schedules, and I worked for Georgia Pacific down in Madison for a little while, and they did that, and it's horrible on the body.
Right. Well, now don't they have like a disorder, shift work disorder or something?
I could see that. I can see
For
that.
people, what is that called? I don't forget what that was called.
Where it throws out your whole cicada rhythm,
Yeah.
and yeah, I could see that being an actual disorder. While you're looking that up, before I ask this question, I want to throw. We talked about coming out of school and being scared, and I want to ask you this while you're looking it up, and I'll tell a little story about mine, and you can bring yours and that back to it. Do you remember as a medic your first shift or your first call where you're the one carrying the weight?
Yeah.
Man, mine was in Rockdale County, and I mean I had been a medic for about a month, but it was in Morgan County. It was a slow shift, so we'd worked maybe one or two standard codes. Nothing to me, although those were my first shifts. It wasn't ever the big deal. The first shift in Rockdale County, we had a T-bone collision at one of the major intersections with kids involved, and it was chaos. And a medic jumped onto my truck from the fire. I mean, I didn't know he was a medic. He was just a firefighter. And I'm like, the first truck there. When we get out of the truck, the firefighters are running to us with the board. They had panicked because it was a 15 or 16-year-old kid. He had a seat collar, but he wasn't strapped to the board. So me, I'm like, you got to stop. We got to strap him down. Mm-hmm. And they're kind of trying to run me over. They never met me before. They didn't know who I was. I don't know what the deal was. I stopped them, but I'm already freaking out, and they all jump in the back of my truck. So I go around to the side door, and there's a medic sitting or a firefighter sitting in my seat that he's trying to tube, and I didn't know what to do because I'm freaking out because I'm a paramedic on one of the busiest. Well, I found out later was one of the busiest trucks in that county, handling a multiple casualty event with a partner I'd never worked with before, in a city I'd never worked in before, and had no. I mean, I felt lost. Ultimately, I had to yell at the guy and threaten to put my hands on him to get him out of my truck because he went to intubate and he missed. And I was like, dude, that's my seat. You need to get out. I had no idea. Again, no idea who he is. What? Because the firefighters just had the firefighter patch on their jackets. He didn't have. Later found out he's a paramedic for Walton County, but he still missed, and it was still my truck. And I got the tube the first time, but it was that. You're right. It's that panic, that chaos, that what the hell is going on? What was yours like?
Mine was my very first one where it was all on me was a very bad congestive heart failure patient. And I was by myself. I worked for Caroline Ambulance at the time. And, we were in a little trauma hawk. And it was me and my partner. It was an EMT Basic. It was like I was thrown to the wolves.
Yeah, I felt that way too, yeah.
They were like just as much a rookie as I was. And she was in bad shape. And I got an IV started on her. Started her nitro and Lasix. And called for assistance. Because then I started ventilating her. Mm-hmm. Well, I had to ventilate her because her SATs were like in the 40s.
So if you're, there's much more complicated explanation, but she can't breathe because she's got fluid in her lungs. That's why the nitro and Lasix were trying to pull it off, and now you're pushing air in to push the fluid out.
Yep. So I was ventilating her, and started headed towards the hospital. Another unit intercepted us. Medic got in the back of the truck, and he ended up intubating her because I was busy ventilating.
Right.
And he ended up, intubating her, and, we got the tube, got her secured, and got her to the hospital. But, I was puckered up pretty good because she was circling the drain pretty well. So.
Now, here's the follow-up to both of our stories. After you wrote the report, and hopefully, did anybody talk to you about it?
No.
Did you ever go back and figure out you did everything you could have done and did the right thing? So at least I had that. So you were really thrown to the wolves.
No, it was, hey, there's a transfer holding out of UAB.
So it's a non-emergency call.
No, it was an emergency call, but
I
did both. So
okay.
Usually what happened was you get an emergency call whenever you transported like UAB, Caraway Methodist, East End Memorial, or wherever you went, there would be one going out. So you'd get there, and you got to pick one up, take it out, and then go back to your area.
Gotcha. I felt like I was thrown to the wolves because Again, I was unprepared to work with the firefighters. I was unprepared for the city, this and that. But the reality was that National had my back. And,
Right.
I mean, I wrote like 4 pages on this call.
Ask, how long were you in school?
6 months. I think EMT was 9 and paramedic was 6. So a grand total of 15 months spread out over, because I worked for a while before I went to paramedic school. So 15 months of education.
Yeah. So what we're going to do in a 5-week program, you went to school like that, but you went 1 or 2 nights a week,
Mm-hmm.
4 hours at a time.
Mm-hmm. That's
So
correct.
you did 8 hours a week of school.
Roughly, yeah. Maybe at most 12. Because one class was 3 nights, the other class was... I don't remember which was which, but yeah. I mean, it was at most 12 hours a week of class.
We're going to do 8 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
and really put it to it and get them studying, making sure that they study and hold their hand to make sure that the work is done. If they don't get the work done and if they don't make the standard, they don't pass. We're not a...
Well, that's the truth. That was the truth with all the other classes I went to as well.
Which it should be.
And I mean, we've said it before. We'll say it again. It doesn't matter what you pass with; it's that you pass. And that's going back through this whole thing. All I want to do is teach, right? So going back through all the stuff I'm having to, it becomes more hoops than I thought it was, and it's all worth it. It's all fine. But the hoops I'm going through, I'm like, I'm never going to be on a truck. I have zero desire to be on a truck. And sure, there might be a reality somewhere that says, hey, there's this opportunity. It's the right one for me. I'm going to go do it. But for the most part, I know where I'm going in life. I'm almost 40 years old. I understand who I am, what I'm doing with my life. And being on a truck is no part of it. Teaching absolutely is. It's a thing that really resonates with me. I'm like, why can't there just be a teaching medic degree? Why do I have to get full across the board? I'm super medic with all my certifications. But I realize because they don't want to spend the money and the time to differentiate that. Because then they have to set up a bridge course. If I just get a teaching medic, which then they'd have to open up to just people to do, right? And honestly, who wants to learn from somebody who's never been in the field?
Right.
I absolutely don't want to learn from that.
I hate to say that there's a lot out there, though.
Probably. I can see it.
I know for a fact, you know, and I don't want to throw any sticks in a glass house or rocks in a glass house, but there are people out there that go through paramedic school, and when they graduate paramedic school, not only do they get their paramedic license, they also get a license as a level 3 paramedic instructor at the same time.
Is that the bottom level or the top level?
That's the top level.
Level 3. Wow. See, that's that hero to zero program.
Yeah,
Too. It's just, yeah.
I'm like, I would have never in my life. It took me a while to get where I wanted to teach EMT or paramedic.
Right.
You know, I wanted experience. Could you imagine teaching? And you're trying to teach how to manage a cardiac arrest when you've never actually done it?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I have no ability to imagine that.
Charlotte, you were not the oldest, trust me.
So this is what he's responding to. There's a great question. How old is your youngest and oldest EMS student that attended the school?
Yeah, we've had some in the 70s.
Nice, really.
Yeah.
And did they pass?
Yeah.
What? So this is where my mind kicks in. I want to go. So what are you wanting to get out of this as that 70-year-old as a student? What do you?
They just want to learn.
They just want to learn. I get that. I went to school with somebody who really just wanted to learn.
I think the one she was 70 years old. She was wanting to do missionary work.
Oh yeah, that would really come in handy.
To go out and do missionary work. That's what she did. And we've got some in the mid 50s up to mid 60s now that come through.
What's the minimum age to get into the school?
We will let you into the EMT program. Generally, like if you're in 17, as long as you're going to be 18 by the time you finish.
I think I've heard that in other classes, yeah. And I'm assuming you've had some 17-year-olds.
Yeah. Well, we've actually did a class that was specifically catered to teenagers, homeschool kids. We started them out around 16 years old. They did the EMR program, which there is no age limit on EMR.
What's emergency management response?
First
responders?
Responder. It's what used to be the first responder.
Okay,
now
gotcha.
they're called EMRs. So
we need more acronyms to confuse everything.
Why not? Alphabet soup, right?
Yeah.
So you can do the EMR program at any age. And then we went from we did EMR with them first, and we did EMR like over 6 or 8 months. We spread it out, just like a high school class would be, one day a week, come in. And then we started them on EMT, which went over a year. And then after that, we started advanced EMT with them. And
okay, I get that.
And they've all been very successful.
Now, when you joined the military, were you 18?
Yeah. Well, actually, I was 17.
So your EMS thing was the same as mine. I was 17. For the first class, and I think by the third class, I had my birthday. I was 18. But the state of Georgia is 18 to work for EMS. Man, while I was ready to learn, there was so much more in life to learn. I mean, 18, it's a great time to go and learn because you're still in that school mindset. You still don't have very many obligations in life typically.
Right.
But being in the field was tough for me in many, many, many aspects of it. And I stuck with it for 10, 15 years. No, not 15. I think I did about 10 to 12 years of it, roughly. So that's a thing for sure. Because a lot of insurances won't even let you drive until you're 21.
21. I think some are even more than that. 22, 23.
Maybe. And their rental car places are like 25 even. So that always been an interesting thing. I don't think I had any issues driving. I got a few different jobs. I think I rode mostly because typically my first job was a fly-by-night ambulance service, and the guy just had nothing better to do. He's like, I'm driving. I'm like, okay. And I would always ride. Because it was in Atlanta. I had no idea where I was going. This is before GPS was on your phone or anything like that. So I always let other people drive. I did okay. So Charlotte was not your oldest, is what you're saying.
Right.
There was one other question I had before we wrap it up. And I hope for you live that it's been going okay, because there's been lots of different weird things going on our side, and we'll figure all that out. So the 5-week class starts when? It's on the website. Yeah, pull up the website. Let's look at it.
Thanks, Charles.
You're welcome. Because there's people watching who might know. I've seen many times. I've seen your ad pop up a number of times, and it's really not even an ad. It's the post that you made, and it doesn't come up as a paid post. It comes up because somebody, because I'm a part of the group, right? I'm part of the Georgia Institute of EMS page, so I see everything that happens, and somebody will go tag, hey, Matt Smith, you need to look at this. Hey, so, and people are sharing it out. So people watch this video might go, holy crap! In 5 weeks. I can go from, and I'm not being derogative because we need people who cook the hamburgers and make the French fries. But if that's not for you, you can go from cooking French fries and serving the community there to being on an ambulance and making a lot more money. What does a basic EMT start off with, roughly?
Depends on where they work at. Some of
Sure.
them pay the same regardless if you're basic or an advanced.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We've seen where some are paying $10 to $15 an hour.
Wow, that's really good.
Now, those are transport services, not 911 services.
Still, it's a place to get in the door, get some experience, get paid.
But like AMR is hiring EMT Basics to work 911 trucks. So,
okay.
But the 5-week accelerated classes start May 15th is when it's going to start.
So about a little over a month from now.
Yeah.
So there you go. So you got time to sign up. You can go to Georgia Institute of EMS.com. That's GAIEMS.com. Yep, and we can you can sign up there.
GeorgiaEMT.com.
Georgia EMT.
Spelled out.
GeorgiaEMT.com.
GeorgiaEMT.com.
There. On that note, too, you've spun off and have a new site that you're developing.
Yep, it's almost 100%. But if you look up CPR of Georgia, ACLS of Georgia, PALS of Georgia, it all takes you to the same thing for people needing CPR, first aid, bloodborne pathogens, or like advanced cardiac life support, pediatric advanced cardiac life support, the initial course, renal course. We're starting to do that. So.
And I went through the PALS. It was really well done and
thank you.
Easy peasy, man. In fact, you had to tell me, okay, dude, we're done. Like, oh, really? Okay, I'll pack up my stuff. But it was a good class and it was well taught. All right, I think that's about it. One last question I guess I'll throw to you. In your position now, I mean, pretend this isn't EMT school, but you're running something. You're running your own business, but you wanted to go through this. Would you personally rather do the hybrid class, which is still available, or the 5-week course?
Well, if it all depends on what my situation is. If I've got the time to do it, I would do the 5-week course.
Yeah, because it's just condensed and you're done, and you're
so I can get to work.
Me too.
Because it's all the same certification, and you get into it what you put into it. You know, I'm going to go ahead and tell people, and I tell people this all the time. If you are going to pay for a class, take a class, and don't think that you have to crack the book, read the book, and study, and actually put the time into it, you're not going to get anything out of it. Because I don't care what class you go to, an 8-month class, a 1-year-long class, or a 2-week-long class. If you don't put the work into it, you're not going to get anything out of it. So if you're wanting to put the work into it, and you want to do the work and get through it, the 5-week class is a good way to go.
The now to irritate everybody, because I have this ability to absorb information and learn, I'd go to class and take some notes, and that's what helps me remember is actually physically writing notes down. Even if I don't go back and read them, it's the writing of it that helps me remember. Not typing. I tried that with the paramedic thing. I typed out. I just have a list of things I need to look up. But when PALS, I had a piece of paper and a pen. That stuff. So that's my style. But then, for even EMT class, my study for the test would be reading the little side boxes. I never read the actual chapters because the lecture, I understood what the lecture was saying.
But you were still putting time into it.
Yeah, I was putting some time into it. But there's people that have to just read and read and read.
There's some people that won't even open the book, and then whenever they get to the end of the program and they fail their test, they're like,
"What happened?
I was here." No, what did you do? You still have to work at it. You still got to put the work into it.
Yeah,
so regardless of the format of the course, in class, hybrid, traditional, online, short, long, medium sized, you have to put the work into it.
Absolutely. All right, I think it's going to be good for this week. If you want your questions answered, we've got all kind of things we can talk about. Hit us up. We have an email address, and it's emsu@gaiems.com. All right, cool. I remembered this week. I remember what it was. And, of course, here on the Facebook page, Georgia Institute of EMS. That's all spelled out. Georgia Institute of EMS is where these videos live and where you can easily contact us, message the school, message Tom or I, and we'll discuss what it is you want to discuss. We'll give you more insights on the classes. We'll answer questions, especially if you're a student right now and you go, hey, I'm struggling with airway. You know, what help me out? And We'll do the best we can. I'll swallow the camera so you can see my airway. We'll see what happens. All right. I will do this every Thursday around 2:30 p.m. Eastern. So check us out again next time.